Hello, everyone. We're very happy to be here with all of you. I'm Francisco Castro Velasco, and I'm here with Oscar Frey.
Hello, everyone.
We are making this show with this talk for the Puerto Vallarta Virtual Gay Pride online, and we're going to talk about our experiences with whale watching, particularly in Puerto Vallarta. Oscar Frey, he's an oceanographer, and he has plenty of experience as a cetacean researcher and in the whale watching company. He has had his own company for 15 years as a founder, creator, manager, and guide. And I'm Francisco Castro Velasco. I'm a marine environmentalist and science communicator, and also I have experience working as a whale watching tour guide. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity and honor of being part of Oscar's team. So today we're going to talk about this experience, and well, let's hope that you like it. Anything you want to say for greetings, Oscar?
Yes, well, I want to, some of you in the community know me from before. We started this whale watching company actually in 2000, but prior to that, we started the whale watching industry through other companies, founding other companies in 1995. So for 25 years, we've been exploring this incredible bay off Puerto Vallarta named Banderas Bay, which is the second largest bay in North America after Hudson Bay. So it's a very special place. It's incredible, not only the abundance of whales in these waters during winter, but also the variety of species that we find. It's truly a majestic place, worth coming, and a unique corner on this planet, not only for whale watching, but to enjoy nature, and also is the most friendly gay town in this country. So it's just perfect place to post this event and share our experiences with you guys. Hope you like it.
Yeah, I have to say that when I first went to Puerto Vallarta, or before I went to work with you, all I knew about Puerto Vallarta was that it's famous for its gay culture and the tourism, and that's great because there aren't many places in Mexico where it's so open for that kind of tourism and that community. But also a great thing of Puerto Vallarta is that there's also so much more than that. There's the culture is rich. It's in the state of Jalisco, one of the most picturesque and folkloric counties in the country, and the nature around is just gorgeous. It has a huge bay. It's actually, I don't know the size of it, but it's enormous, the bay. It actually divides two different states in Mexico, and it's in a tropical area, but with mountains as well. So everything where you go, it's wonderful. You can go for hiking, and there's a beautiful botany garden in the mountains, and you can get a bit of everything. You can have if you like the cities and kind of the more typical tourism, you have Puerto Vallarta, Nueva Vallarta. But if you go not too far away or into the middle of the bay, you can see whales, great diving, hike, go into excursion. So it's a great place for all nature lovers. Today we're going to focus, obviously, with whale watching as well. So now since this is the first year, I think, that Puerto Vallarta is doing the tour, the Gay Pride Festival online because of COVID. How has COVID affected the whale watching for you guys over there?
Well, COVID situation, of course, have had an impact on all tourism industry due to the lockdown. We closed the season actually earlier this year, but for the whales and for nature, it's been a good rest. I mean, the whales are moving freely without boat traffic around them for the last 2 months. And honestly, they're feasting right now. They're really, really having a good time feeding from sunrise to sundown. And amazingly, I assume they're really going to get a really good summer season, meaning we're going to have an incredible winter this coming whale watching season that starts on December the 8th officially. even though the first whales arrive here around Halloween. So we can expect that. Yeah, we have to just be safe, be good. And now we're trying to share as much as possible this experience remotely, like online or through social media, etc. Hence, this presentation and this interview that I hope brings back home some of the beauty we've shared on the water. So in that regard, Francisco has helped us out to put together some video clips of our activities so you get an idea how we do it. Under my standard for whale watching, if this activity is done responsibly, every sighting occurs under the whale's terms. And in order to have less impact or less imprint on the environment, we always, in my standard, is to use a boat smaller than the whale you want to see, if navigation allows it. So that is the case of the operations we do. We run groups for 10 or 14 guests at the most normally, and we're able to have a non-invasive whale watching operation, get a more intimate encounter with the whales and approach acoustically, visually to these incredible creatures and this wonderful day.
For sure. That's a very great picture, by the way. Did you take that one?
Yes, I took this picture about 4 or 5 years ago, and I really love, the town Puerto Vallarta on the background and the mountains. Really shows the environment and the power that these animals can bring. Because important value of this activity is the aesthetic value that it brings, and an aesthetic experience through whale watching. It really permeates. It stays with you wherever you go, and I believe that's why travelers, nature lovers, the general public in general, because this activity is for the general public, really are drawn back to see more whales because every sighting is unique and it provides an aesthetic experience. So maybe you want to share a little bit of the activity, Francisco, with the audience?
Yeah, with whale watching, in my experience, I mean, just like any sort of tourism, it depends on what kind of approach the company gives to it. But I think whale watching is the kind of activity that really benefits from and really takes advantage of making people interact and understand the nature better. It's unlike, let's say, going to a dolphin show that you see in this kind of parks and touristic places that people go with the idea, oh, I'm gonna go to see dolphins because I love dolphins, but they probably really don't leave that place learning more about the dolphins. It's more of a kind of like a check experience. Whereas with whale watching, especially if it's done by people that know about the whales, it becomes quite an enriching experience because it's everything about it. It's from the moment that you sail, you have to receive talks. Usually the way with Ocean Friendly it works is that people are gathered in one place. There's one briefing in which we give an overall introduction of how the ocean and whales works, so that the person goes kind of like before watching a movie, they give you a prop, and then on the rest of the trip, it's kind of aleatory. From each trip is very different for each person because you have to adapt to what you're going to see. It's not like you have it scheduled. You might see many whales gathering together. Sometimes you might not be so lucky, but most of the time you get to see whales, dolphins, and each behavior, each encounter is different. And the guide has the opportunity of describing how this experience compares to others, and it gives the visitor a stronger idea of how the sea works. For example, a lot of people, when I used to work as whale watcher as well, a lot of people just when they climb in, the first thing they want to see is see a whale breach, because that's cool, of course. But we don't have any control of that. That's completely on the whale's end. So some people perhaps didn't see whales breaching, but some of them actually got to see whales mating, which is even rarer. Or maybe not so many whales, but they encountered a pod of orcas and dolphins, or maybe a mother whale and its calf coming very close to the boat. So it's very different. The guide has to be very flexible, and also the guide and the captain needs to have a very good communication and to kind of read the situation, so to adapt to how the whale watching is being that day. But it's a very enriching experience, and most of the times the visitors, I think, they leave not just happy because they saw whales, but because it was a very unique experience that kind of takes you away from the usual things you are used to for entertainment.
Well, I would love to add that when we go whale watching, it's always rewarding that we're able to collect data for research and conservation efforts, and at the same time we can share our findings. So we established this program as a self-sustainable way to make research and conservation efforts involving travelers and civilians to make this possible. And honestly, I want to thank everybody who has come with us for the last 25 years, because honestly, without your participation, the continuity of this program would not be possible. So this is an interactive activity where we as a group, we interact among us and we interact with whales. We develop understandings how whales adapt, but also we develop understandings how the ocean environment works. How do we share this environment with whales, and how whales have been adapting to us as well. An important part of this would be their acoustics. I mean, whales live most of their lives underwater, and the main sense they use to relate to each other and the environment, that would be hearing. As much as we're visual, they are acoustical. And that is something very interesting to consider when you go whale watching, when you allow whales the acoustical room they need to hear and find each other, they tend to reduce that acoustical room, interact most closely, and that's when we have friendly whale encounters that they come to the boat, interested in us as much as we're interested in them. But personally, everybody wants to see a whale breaching. There's nothing not to like. I mean, it's incredible, especially when they do it repeatedly. It's very exciting, it's very exhilarating. But the soothing part of this activity, for me, it's very powerful when you sing their songs. And singing, it's a very a complex communication system, but regarding the whale watching experience, it really provides a profound and a very rich, soothing experience to the whale watcher, to the traveler, to the listener. So I've been recording these whale songs for 24 years in these waters.
Oh, wow.
And my most recent participation in research was published last year with Jean Darling and other colleagues. And upcoming, we'll have a new whale songs and soundscapes record coming out at the end of this month. So keep tuned at Ocean Friendly, and you'll be able to download that. If you're willing to download and do a donation for our nonprofit organization, it's going to be available for the general public.
And for our people viewing us, if you don't know what we mean with the whale singing, we're now going to attach a clip so that you can listen to the whales and see them, how it's like. So we take a little pause so you get to see them. No hay sonido más mágico y misterioso en el océano que el canto de una ballena. Producido por los machos en las áreas de reproducción, estos cantos se creen que podrían ser maneras de comunicarse con otros posibles machos competidores o para llamar la atención de una bella doña ballena. Si escuchas con atención, puedes escuchar aquí a un macho haciendo sus atrevidos llamados.
Ven acá, chiquita. Come on. Come on.
No, ese es Oscar Frey, guía y fundador de Ocean Friendly. Este es el canto de un macho cantor. Well, we hope that you enjoy that. It's for sure. It's listening to the whale singing. It's quite a unique experience. the humpback whales are probably the most vocal of whales. There are other species that also produce sounds, but none like the humpbacks. And in the companies like the Ocean Friendly, one great thing is that they, with each trip, they take what they call a hydrophone, which is pretty much a microphone but used for on the water. They attach a cable and the hydrophone is introduced in the water. And if there are whales singing around all the way up to 10 miles around, you can listen to the whales singing. And even though you may not see them, even if the water is clear and empty and there are no boats and it looks like there's nothing, but just listening to the whales singing, it's quite surreal. It's really wonderful. I had another experience, not in like that, not in Puerto Vallarta, but in Mazatlan, another company where I worked, and we happened to have the whales singing, but just beneath us, and it was a very clear day with no wind, no waves, and for some reason that hydrophone wasn't working, but even then we could feel the song reverberating through the surface, and I could feel it in my body, and it was quite intense. So using it with the microphones, the way Oscar does, it does make you bring like a sound from another world.
It is actually sounds for another world, and it's what I call the songs for this new world that we're entering, as COVID has changed our lives, and these are really going to be songs for the new world for sure, because the message they carry is outstanding. Personally, I really believe that within the big picture of this planet, whales have a very important role in our lives. They can modify the environment for the common good. They are the responsible to fertilize the oceans. Try to describe this a little more. They move so much water when they swim, that when they swim vertically, they bring the water from the deep to the surface, bringing all those nutrients of the water available to the surface, so the microalgae can use those nutrients combined with the sunlight and photosynthesize, which drives the food chain. So the more water they stir, the more fertilization happens, and that really stimulates the food chain. As these microalgae bloom, not only the food chain is driven, but also these microalgae, when it happens close to the surface, they release, of course, a lot of oxygen. And then that oxygen can go back into the atmosphere. And well, 3/4 of this planet experience that. And they're responsible for, a lot of the oxygen that we actually breathe. So whales are very important just for the fact that we need to breathe oxygen. And also what it helps the rest of the marine life as they're boosting or motivating, let's say enhancing the speed, how the energy flows through the food chain. So there's food for everyone where there's whales.
So in a way, the humpbacks, or whales in general, they are responsible of creating small upwellings.
Well, it could be small or not so small. I have witnessed groups of 80 or 100 whales together during El Nino conditions, where the ocean is layered, and they stir all those water in big groups. And they, honestly, in a few hours, the temperature drops 3-4 degrees Celsius, and the salinity drops 2. Everything's stirred up. 2 days later, there's massive blooms of sardine everywhere, and everybody's feeding birds, other fish, dolphins, whales, you name it. So these are incredible animals and really owe a lot of the oxygen that we're breathing right now thanks to their activities.
Right. And besides humpback whales, there's other species of cetaceans and animals that you can get to observe when you're whale watching, both in Puerto Vallarta and in Mexico. Where I live in Ensenada in northwest Mexico, and humpback whales are one common species, but the icon here, our whale watching icon, would be the gray whale, which has a similar migration route to the humpbacks. They probably go a bit more north, but their mating areas are in the Baja, and but we also get to see humpbacks, blue whales, fin whales, different species of dolphins, and sometimes rare encounters such as the moonfish, or once we saw orcas as well. And yeah, you never really know what you're going to experience. How about you? What are some of the rarest species that you get to observe?
Well, the rarest species that I've observed here in this bay are actually giant sperm whales, dwarf sperm whales, and pygmy sperm whales. Those are incredible, but also Brutus whales, which is a tropical whale, false killer whales, pygmy killer whales, a variety of dolphins, including spotted dolphins, spinners, bottlenose, of course, striped dolphins, common dolphins sometimes, and of course, everybody wants to see an orca or a killer whale, which are, they live here. We have residents, we have transients, but when you see a killer whale, you really understand the expression coming out of the blue. They come, they just appear unannounced out of the blue, literally, and they flee the same way. So those are incredible top predators of the ocean, and we're able to see those here in these waters as well, in winter and sometimes even in the summer. That was actually the first whale I ever saw when I was 7 years old, when I was in the summer in the San Juan Islands, Washington State. Incredible species. We were actually 10 kids canoeing with 2 counselors in a canoe in the channels of the San Juan Islands. And we're doing canoeing almost on a daily basis. And a few days after starting canoeing there, this pot of killer whale just showed up right next to our canoe. And they stayed next to us for a while. I mean, for a long while, playing under the canoe and so forth. When they dove down, my reaction was to just jump overboard.
Wow.
I wasn't thinking because, well, that's really cold water. And counselor picked me up from my trousers, put me back in the canoe, and I had a frozen smile for a long time, literally frozen. Water temperature there was probably 10, 12 degrees Celsius, which is about 50, 55 Fahrenheit. So that was a chilling experience. But later in my life, well, coming back to live at the north side of Puerto Vallarta, I used to live in Sayulita. I would find whales there very often, just cruising right in front of our house. And I did high school here in La Cruz. So I've been in this area for 30 some years. And went to Baja for college, graduate school, and decided to come back and establish this program to be able to study whales on a daily basis for 4 months in a row and be able to propose strategies for their conservation. So one thing led to another. And by 2008, we established a nonprofit organization based in San Diego, so we can extend this research with the migratory, starting now the migratory patterns, be able to go to the United States, Canada, other places where these whales feed along their migratory route. And well, now we have this exchange program, which is migratory north-south, starts in Oaxaca, Mexico, ends up in southeastern Alaska. And eastern-western, we compare musical structure of the whale songs between Mexico, 2 areas, here in Baja, the Hawaiian waters, Philippines, and Japan. So this has grown, and the only way to really make it work is through heartfelt, true networking. Networking is the key. And through educational programs, that's the key for conservation. So we want to invite you, if you have opportunity to travel to Puerto Vallarta this coming winter, do not miss it. This is honestly one of the best places in the world to see whales. Puerto Vallarta has great access, great services to enjoy this in a really, really a safe manner, safe for the travelers, safe for the whales. And well, we start officially on December 8th. And for those who make your bookings early during this month, we're going to offer a discount code. If you guys want to make your early booking, you can even have a discount code that's only going to be valid through June, for the Pride events.
And since now that we're talking about all the different encounters you can have, I'd like to share one video, another video that pretty much sums up the different species that you could find out. It pretty much sums up how it's a normal whale watching trip with Ocean Friendly and in Bahía Banderas, and it shows a bit of the different animals that you would encounter. So let's dive into that one. Well, that definitely was informative, I guess. And well, yes, it's for sure. It's one great thing about using whale watching and using it as a platform for research, the way that Oscar does, is that normally in research institutes, people that study whales, let's say they are dependent on fundings. So they can't go as often to the ocean and be with the whales as much as they like to. But in the case of Oscar, for example, or all the other people in Mexico and in the world that use this model, economic model, they get to use whale watching as a means of sustenance, but it's also a platform from research. So you'll notice that, for example, Oscar has experience of pretty much being every single day at sea from December to April, and if you sum that all through the years, that's plenty of empirical experience and evidence that they really get to know the whales, not just in an academic sense, but also in a more personal sense. And it's kind of like getting the best of both worlds, the same way that fishermen, they understand the ocean physically, but maybe they don't have the deepest knowledge in theory, and sometimes researchers are the opposite. The whale watching can pretty much bridge those worlds and make the understanding of these animals even deeper.
So, well, honestly, I mean, Puerto Vallarta, it's pretty eclectic. I mean, the community here, the society is pretty eclectic. There's a lot of foreigners, people from Mexico, from all over the country. And there's, like you said in the beginning, I mean, there's a very rich nightlife, there's a very rich gastronomy, very rich culture, but also very rich nature. And I think we're in the place where these worlds can meet in a very natural way.
Mhm.
And if you're a morning person, oh God, you can see a lot of macaws. You can see a lot of rich, beautiful things here. But also you can see the families, walking on the beach or fishing, local fishing at the
Right.
river mouth. You can see a lot of things different. So, like we said, well, whales are not the exception. And I hope you guys have a whale of a time. Listening a little bit more of the whale songs at the end of this clip. And again, I invite you guys to come on board. Don't miss the experience. And feel free to drop us a line if you want on info@deepblueconservancy.org or info@oceanfriendly.com. You can get information about our tours, about videos, documentation, research, etc. So I'll repeat, you can visit our platforms at deepblueconservancy.org. Mandy has a link you can see on the screen. If you want to make a direct donation to our nonprofit and support our projects, you can send a donation through a PayPal account to paypal.me/deepblueconservancy.
Great. I'll also take the opportunity to add a bit of publicity for myself. I have a YouTube channel called Poseidon and Kamohoali. And if you're interested in learning more about the ocean or nature in general, I create original clips and documentaries about different kind of animals, from whales to sharks, fish, invertebrates, fishing. You might have a good time with it. The most recent one I created is a documentary called Spotting the Leopard Shark. It's not situated in Puerto Vallarta, but it does talk about the importance of protecting sharks, and you might get to see a good dive in with some cute sharks in the coast of California, as well as learn some cool facts. So give that a check as well. Oscar, is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, just want to thank all the organizers of this virtual Gay Pride Week. It was great to bring it to you home, some of the beauty that the whales bring to us, especially that we need some of that right now that we've been locked down for over 80 days now.
Right.
So I wish everybody keep safe, keep healthy, love equally, because love has no gender, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Very wise words. The same I say to you. I hope that you have a great time. It's lovely to meet you, and lovely to see you again, Oscar, after all this while. And yeah, let's hope happy Pride Month and week, and also get in touch with the ocean and with that salty spirit of yours. Have a great time, and we keep posted. Bye.